Wealth isn't built by chance. It's built by mindset. Most people want to be rich, but very few ever learn how the rich actually think. They believe money comes from working harder, but the truth is, it comes from thinking smarter. Thinking like a millionaire. Billionaire Mindset and Wealth Creation is not just about making money. It's about building the kind of mindset that attracts money, opportunities, and growth into your life. This audiobook will challenge everything you've been taught about success. You'll learn how wealthy people see risk, how they make decisions, how they stay calm when pressure hits, and how they keep reinventing themselves while others give up. If you've ever wondered why some people create wealth while others only dream about it, you're about to find out. Stay with me till the end, because once you understand how millionaires and billionaires really think, you'll never see money or yourself the same way again. Chapter 1. Train your mind to think in opportunities, not limits. You know, the difference between a person who grows rich and one who stays stuck is not luck. It's not background, education, or even talent. It's how they think every single day. The wealthy person, the person who builds success from the ground up, has trained their mind to see opportunities where others only see problems. They look at the same world, but they process it differently. That's what I call thinking in opportunities, not limits. Every human being has two voices in their head. One says, "You can." The other says, "You can't." Most people spend their life listening to the second voice. They talk themselves out of their own dreams. They say, "I don't have enough money. I don't know the right people. I don't have time." What they don't realize is that these are not facts. They are habits of thinking. A millionaire mind is not built on excuses. It's built on possibilities. When something looks impossible, the person with a wealth mindset doesn't stop there. They ask, "How can I make it work?" That single question separates the achievers from the dreamers. Think about how often we limit ourselves before we even start. Someone says, "I want to start a business," and immediately they say, "But what if I fail?" Someone else says, "I want to invest," then says, "But I don't know enough." Every "but" kills the dream before it's born. When you start to train your mind to look for opportunities, you change the language you use. You stop saying, "I can't," and start asking, "What would it take for me to?" That small shift in thinking creates a whole new reality. The truth is, opportunities don't always look like opportunities. Sometimes they look like hard work. Sometimes they look like risk. Sometimes they look like failure. Most people walk away because they only see the surface. But the person who has trained their mind to think differently asks, "What could this become if I stay with it?" That's the secret. It's not about seeing what's there. It's about seeing what could be there. When I was young, I met a man who told me, "You can't afford to think poor." At first, I didn't understand what he meant. I thought he was talking about money, but he was talking about mindset. Poor thinking is when you see a closed door and walk away. Rich thinking is when you look for another way in. Poor thinking says, "That's not my job." Rich thinking says, "How can I add value?" Poor thinking looks at the price. Rich thinking looks at the potential. That's why the rich get richer, not because they're lucky, but because they notice things that others miss. You can start this shift today. Begin with awareness. Catch yourself when you think in limits. When you hear yourself say, "I can't," stop and ask, "Why not?" When you catch yourself saying, "I don't know how," change it to, "I can learn how." The mind is like a muscle. If you keep feeding it limitation, it becomes weak. If you feed it possibilities, it becomes strong. Every day you either strengthen your limits or your opportunities. It's your choice which side you're training. Many people wait for the perfect time to start. They say, "I'll begin when I have more money," or "I'll do it when things calm down." That's limited thinking. The right time never comes. The right time is when you decide to take the first step. Opportunity lives in action, not in waiting. If you move, doors open. If you sit still, everything stays the same. Successful people understand this simple truth. They don't wait for the world to change, they move and make the world respond to them. When you start training your mind to think in opportunities, you begin to notice patterns. You see that every crisis hides a lesson, every challenge hides growth, every rejection hides redirection. The difference is what you focus on. If you focus on the limit, you stop growing. If you focus on the opportunity, you expand. It's not magic, it's mindset. Your eyes see what your mind is trained to find. If your mind expects problems, it will find them. If your mind expects chances, it will find those too. Success begins in how you interpret your experiences. Most people think, "I tried once and failed." The wealthy thinker says, "I tried once and learned." One closes the door, the other opens it wider. This is how opportunities multiply. Every lesson becomes a stepping stone. Every obstacle becomes a teacher. Over time, your brain starts to look for the next opening instead of the next excuse. You become more confident because you're no longer afraid of setbacks. You know they're part of the process. To think like a millionaire, you must also manage what you feed your mind. The news, the gossip, the complaints, these things fill your head with limits. You can't plant seeds of growth in a mind full of noise. Spend more time with people who talk about goals, progress, and creation. Learn from those who have done what you want to do. Surround yourself with ideas that lift you. Your environment shapes your perspective. A limited circle produces limited results. Another key to this mindset is personal responsibility. Millionaire thinkers don't blame the government, the economy, or their family. They take ownership. When you take full responsibility, you gain full power. You stop waiting for others to change your situation. You realize that your decisions create your destiny. It's not what happens that matters most, it's how you respond. And how you respond is controlled by how you think. Every day, you are training your brain whether you realize it or not. Every decision is a repetition of a pattern. If you choose fear, you get better at fear. If you choose courage, you get better at courage. The same goes for opportunity. The more you practice seeing it, the more you'll find it. It's like tuning your mind to a higher frequency. You start picking up signals that others miss. That's how the wealth builders of the world operate. They don't have more luck, they have more awareness. Start small. Look around you today. Ask yourself, what am I missing because I'm focused on what's wrong? Maybe there's a skill you could turn into income. Maybe there's a connection you could grow. Maybe there's a small problem you could solve that others would pay for. Opportunities are everywhere, but they hide from those who complain. The moment you stop saying, "There's nothing I can do," and start saying, "There's always something I can do," everything changes. People often say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But the truth is, you'll see it when you believe it. Your belief opens your mind. It gives your imagination permission to work. When you believe in possibility, your energy changes. You become more alert, more curious, more alive. You stop wasting time doubting yourself and start investing time in building yourself. And that, my friend, is when opportunities start to appear in every corner of your life. Remember, this is not just about making money. It's about becoming the kind of person who creates value wherever they go. Money follows value. The more value you create, the more doors open. So, focus on growing yourself. Improve your thinking, your discipline, your awareness. Don't wait for a big break. Create small wins every day. Every time you grow, your world expands with you. In the end, the greatest opportunity you will ever have is the opportunity to change how you think. When you train your mind to think in opportunities, not limits, you stop being controlled by circumstances. You stop living in reaction and start living by design. You become someone who builds instead of waits, who acts instead of wishes, who sees the next step when others only see a wall. That's the start of a millionaire mindset, and it's available to anyone willing to change the way they think. The world won't hand you success, but it will respond to your growth. Every bit of progress you make on the inside creates results on the outside. So start now. Train your mind every day. Catch the limits and replace them with possibilities. Focus on what you can do, not what you can't. Opportunity doesn't wait for perfect timing, it waits for a prepared mind. And if you prepare yours, you'll never run out of chances to grow, achieve, and create the life you dream of. Chapter 2. Build the courage to take bold financial risks. Most people want a better life, but very few are willing to take the kind of bold financial risks that make it possible. They wait for certainty, for everything to line up perfectly, and that moment never comes. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward while fear whispers in your ear. Building wealth, creating freedom, or building something meaningful always requires courage. You can't build a future playing safe every time. You build it by stepping into the unknown with faith in your ability to figure things out along the way. Taking bold financial risks doesn't mean being reckless or gambling. It means making educated, confident moves toward what you believe can grow. It's about backing yourself when no one else will. It's about saying, "I will find a way," instead of, "I hope it works." Every person who has ever achieved financial freedom has had to cross that invisible line where comfort ends and courage begins. It's that moment when you look at your situation and say, "If I keep doing what I've always done, I'll keep getting what I've always gotten." And you decide that staying the same is riskier than trying something new. The human mind naturally fears loss more than it values gain. That's why most people hold back. They save every penny but never learn how to make it grow. They dream of starting a business but never take the first step. They think about investing but talk themselves out of it. What they don't realize is that fear doesn't disappear by waiting. It only fades when you act. You become braver not by avoiding fear, but by proving to yourself that you can handle it. Each small step forward builds a layer of confidence, and over time that confidence becomes your foundation. Courage in money decisions begins with clarity. You must know what you want and why it matters. Without purpose, risk feels dangerous. With purpose, risk becomes direction. Ask yourself what kind of life you want to create and what it will take to get there. Then, face the truth. It will require choices that make you uncomfortable. You'll have to let go of the need to please everyone. You'll have to say no to the familiar. You'll have to accept that you might make mistakes. But mistakes are tuition for wisdom. They teach you things that comfort never could. Every bold move begins with information. Learn how money works. Understand where it goes, how it grows, and what makes it shrink. The more you know, the less afraid you'll be. Knowledge doesn't remove risk, but it gives you control. It allows you to take smarter risks. Read, study, talk to people who have done what you want to do. Ask